please go ahead.
Sure. Thank you so much, Johan. Very pleased to be part of this conversation. I'm supposed to be there, just like Johan just said, but unfortunately I couldn't make it. But I'm so happy to see the audience as well as the audience online. And I'll be supporting you all today with managing the question. And I'm super excited to hear all those experiences that we'll be sharing, as well as most importantly, I'm looking forward to learn what we'll take home as part of these conversations and how we can strengthen our collaborations beyond CND. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. So I will share with you the essentials of youth prevention influences as it is right now. We're talking about young people and youth leaders between the ages of 16 and 24. That's a target group for the moment. They are selected by Rotary clubs, and this is a little bit on the way, and in cooperation mostly with NGOs that are interested to pick up the training and have also young candidates for that. The candidates are trained in the principles of addiction and evidence-based prevention. It's an interactive training. They learn. They will explain you later themselves. We are after the training. They are developing their own prevention action in an own youth environment. Might be a class, a sport club, a youth organization, a class, a gaming club, whatever. It might be on gaming, on vaping, on alcohol, whatever they choose. We support their action by professional trainers, and is also followed up by a scientific, an academic institute for the evaluation, follow-up, and especially for measuring the social impact and giving feedback while the activity is growing. For Rotary, because we are the Rotary Action Group for Addiction Prevention, Rotary has 26 action groups, each on a specific team. We have the team of addiction prevention. We are recognized by Rotary International and supported. This means that all our communication goes to the all district governors all in the world. That's more than 500, and each district governor is responsible for 70 to 80 clubs. So in total, we cover nearly 55,000 clubs. It's about 1,200,000 Rotarians that we can inform and engage, try to engage and to motivate to work with us. It's intergenerational because Rotary understood very well that it should use its experience, its networks, local networks especially, and its funds to help young people to do what they want to do, especially for us in the field of prevention. They have to become a member of Rotary, just free cooperation between the generations. As I remember, during the Global Youth Declaration, that was precisely what they asked to the member states. They said clearly, we want prevention not only for youth, but also by youth. And now I simplified the question, and they said, and you support and you pay for us. So that's what we are going to do with Rotary. What is the situation right now? We focused on professionalizing the program, and we focused on the cooperation with national youth umbrella organizations. In Belgium, 3 of them, and in Sweden 2, and also with Rotary in Australia. We had until now 5 pilot trainings, 60 participants. We have developed a training curriculum for trainers, and we have a toolkit for youth prevention influencers to start up the project. We have right now an application running for Erasmus Plus Youth projects, that's from the European Union. It's a cooperation between Belgium and Sweden. We expect the use, good or bad use in June. But anyway, the planning that we made in that program will be carried out with or without support of the EU. We have partners engagement in that program for training 100 new use prevention influencers between September 26 and June 27. So next year in March, we should be here with 5 to 10 the new use prevention influencers. We have also an internal structure ready. The Rotarian Action Group Addiction Prevention has chapters in continents, countries, regions, but we also made a special chapter for youth that will be run by and managed by youth themselves. So this is the structure that is ready, and Yoni will explain later something more to announce. So that's the start and the status today. We have our speakers, you see the names, and let's not lose much more time, and let's start with one of the use prevention influencers, Eva Read from Australia, a high school student and a top basketball player.
Firstly, I'd like to mention what an honour it is to address the Commission on Narcotic Drugs here at the United Nations in Vienna as a youth prevention advocate from Australia. I'd like to start with a simple question. Why do drugs work so well on young people? It's biological. Next slide. During adolescence, the brain is essentially under construction. Next slide. The systems responsible for reward, motivation, and excitement develop earlier than the systems responsible for long-term judgment. In other words, the accelerator develops before the brakes. Drugs exploit that imbalance. Next slide. My name is Eva. I'm 16 years old. I'm a basketball player, a student, and someone who believes that sport can change lives. Basketball is more than a game to me. It's helped me shape who I am, build my confidence, and give me a place where I feel supported and motivated to improve every day. Just for context, that's the blue team on the board is the team I play for. But today, I'm not just here to talk about basketball. I'm here to talk about how sport protects young people by giving us purpose, connection, and belonging. Every afternoon when school ends, many young people face the same question. What do I do now? Next slide. For some, the answer is training, a positive outlet surrounded by teammates and mentors. But for far too many others, there is nothing waiting for them. No programs, no mentors, no safe place to go. And that's where vulnerability begins. Next slide. Sport can change that. When I walk into the gym, I'm not just shooting hoops, I'm stepping into a community. My teammates lift me up when I fail, they celebrate my progress, and they remind me that success is never achieved alone. That sense of belonging is powerful. In fact, it's chemistry, healthy chemistry. Neuroscience shows that activities like sport naturally release dopamine, endorphins, and oxytocin, the brain's chemicals for motivation, joy, and connection. Next slide. These are the very pathways that drugs attempt to hijack, but sport strengthens them in a positive way. Next slide. Where addiction isolates, sport connects, and that brings me to the power of role models. Next slide. Athletes like Lauren Jackson, who returned from injury and retirement to lead Australia at the World Cup at age 41, show us that what resilience truly looks like. Her comeback wasn't just about winning, it was about proving that discipline, perseverance, and self-belief are stronger than any quick fix. Next slide. Across the world, there are countless athletes who show young people that fulfillment does not come from escape, but from purpose. Because the real opposite of addiction is not simply sobriety, the real opposite of addiction is connection. When we invest in school and community sport, we invest in connection, confidence, and meaning. Next slide. In Australia, 1 in 3 secondary school students have already experimented with vaping. These young people are not reckless. Next slide. They are responding to the natural drive of the adolescent brain, a search for reward, stimulation, and belonging. Our responsibility is to ensure that the healthiest pathways are also the most accessible ones. Next slide. If we want to change the future of drug use, we must think like the brain. Reward effort, build connection, and invest in prevention early enough that young people discover their potential before substances attempt to define it. Because the opposite of addiction isn't simply sobriety, it's connection, it's purpose, and it's belonging. The adolescent brain is powerful, full of energy, curiosity, and drive. Earlier, I said the accelerator develops before the brakes. So the real question is not whether young people will accelerate. The real question is where that energy will take them. Will the next generation grow up searching for escape or waking up each day with something worth striving for, a team that believes in them and the courage to pursue their full potential already inside them? Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice program. We move from Australia to Belgium with Yoni Torbijn, youth prevention influencer from Belgium, founding chair of the Rotaract E-Club Youth, prevention influencers, medical student.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Eva, for that important reflection on the role of sports in prevention. Sport teaches young people discipline, resilience, and teamwork. It creates structure, belonging, and positive role models in their lives. These are powerful protective factors in the lives of young people, but prevention does not end when the game is over. The real challenge is how we take those values beyond the sports field into our schools, our communities, and the everyday environments where young people make choices that shape their futures. My name is Yoni. I am 21 years old and a medical student from Belgium, and I represent the Youth Prevention Influencers program of the Rotarian Action Group for addiction prevention. As a youth prevention influencer, I have seen that prevention becomes truly effective when young people are not only the audience, but the drivers of change. Too often, prevention is something designed for young people, but not with young people. Yet, the reality is simple. Young people listen to each other in ways they do not always listen to adults. We understand the pressures, the environments, and the realities our peers face. We speak the same language, and because of that, we can open conversations that might not otherwise happen. Peer leadership does something powerful. It reduces stigma. It creates spaces where difficult topics like addiction, mental health, or peer pressure can be discussed honestly and without fear of judgment. During my youth prevention influencers training, you can go to the next slides. There's one lesson in particular that stayed with me. We were encouraged to look at addiction from multiple perspectives. Instead of immediately judging, we learned to ask deeper questions. What experience shaped this person's path? What pressures did they face? And what circumstances contributed to the choices they made? When you start looking at addiction this way, something changes. You stop seeing addiction as a simple failure of willpower, and you begin to understand it as a result of complex life stories, environments, and vulnerabilities. And when you understand the story behind the behavior, prevention becomes smarter, more compassionate, and more effective. That shift from judgment to understanding is something I carry with me, both as a medical student and as a youth prevention influencer. Because effective prevention is not about telling people what not to do, it is about understanding why challenges arise in the first place and creating environments where healthier choices become possible. This belief in youth leaderships brings me to an important announcement today. Today we are not just talking about prevention, we are building the network that will help lead it. As the founding president, I am proud to launch a new Rotaract e-club. It's dedicated to connecting young people around the world who are committed to addiction prevention. This new initiative creates a global digital community where youth prevention influencers, prevention ambassadors, peer-to-peer prevention youth workers, and any kind of youth-by-youth prevention workers can collaborate beyond borders. Through this Rotaract e-club, we will exchange ideas and experiences. We can develop projects together and support one another in turning prevention strategies into real action. Because prevention should not happen in isolation. The challenges we face are global and the solutions must be collaborative. By connecting young leaders internationally, we strengthen our collective ability to respond, innovate, and build sustainable prevention efforts in our communities. This e-club is not just a network. It empowers youth to connect, lead, and drive long-term change. Empowering youth is not simply a symbolic gesture. It is a strategic necessity. If we want prevention to succeed in the long term, young people must be part of designing the solutions. Because when young people lead prevention efforts, the messages become authentic, relatable, and sustainable. Young people influence social norms. Young people shape culture, and young people have the power to inspire change within their own generation. So the message I would like to leave you with today is simple. Prevention works best when young people are not just listeners, but leaders. When we invest in youth leadership, when we give young people the tools, the mentorship, and the responsibility to act, we don't more than educate a generation. We empower a generation to protect each other, to strengthen our communities, and we build more resilient societies. And if we truly want a future where fewer lives are lost to addiction, then we must not only speak about prevention, we must empower the generation that will lead it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yoni and Eva, both to taking the lead and especially for the formal start of the Rotaract e-club for prevention influencers. Very, very good. Thank you. We go now to Joe Baxter. Joe has a long history in prevention and in prevention organizations, certainly also in the WFAD. And Joe is on the basic of the youth prevention influencers in Australia, and I will tell you something about that.
Thank you, Johan, and thank you, ladies. Very inspirational, and I hope I can do justice to what you have already said. So in Australia, we were delighted to have the opportunity to join the Rotarian Action Group for Addiction Prevention through Johan's initiatives. Drug Free Australia, the organisation that I'm in, was invited to partner with the Rotarian Action Group for Addiction Prevention in 2023 after a Zoom meeting with founder Johan Martens and DFA board members. I'd met Johan at the CND in 2014, so yes, it's a long time, as a fellow Rotarian, and so the concept had been briefly discussed. As a former secondary teacher and community development manager at a drug rehabilitation facility in Melbourne, Australia, the idea of increasing the voice of youth was extremely appealing, actually. I'd seen too many cases of drug addiction and its multifaceted negative impact on people and their families. It was very clear that in Australia, too many young people had begun to use drugs in high school. The reasons can include, first slide, peer pressure. The first slide shows a picture of a boy playing football. He spoke to me in confidence at Odyssey House. His name for this purpose is Brandon, but I've changed that for privacy reasons. He started playing football at about 16, and he was getting really, really good at it. But he also followed the tradition of having a drink at the bar at the football club. And, you know, he wanted to be in with the guys, the other people, and just be part of the group. And nobody stopped him. Eventually, he developed quite an alcoholic problem, and so much so that he actually had to get some help at Odyssey House, where I worked, the rehab. He was one of the lucky ones. He came through, but he'd lost his dreams, basically. He'd lost his ambition, lost his dreams. He was too old and not fit enough to be able to play. He'd missed that real key opportunity. So it was kind of sad, but Odyssey showed him ways to be resilient and to ignore the requests of the peer group, the negative peer group. Then the second one was a girl called Kate. She was a 16-year-old girl that came from quite a wealthy family in Melbourne. And one would have thought, wow, you know, she's got everything at her fingertips. But sadly, her parents were professionals, and they did not really give her enough time as a young teenager growing up to talk about the things that were concerning her. And so she turned to her peer group, and sadly the peer group had different ideas about what would be fun, and she became quite addicted to substances as well, including ecstasy. She became pregnant as a result of not being able to make good decisions and finding love in other places. And I'm trying not to shed a tear about this, because every time I tell this story, it's just so sad, and too many kids get into these situations. The Salvation Army actually found her and brought her to Odyssey House, and she was able to go into a supported accommodation housing facility on the premises. It's a very big property in Melbourne, and her family could come and live with her and help her through. So a little too late, but again, another good story, because she did find the help she needed. And to tell that story, it will perhaps warn other young people. The third one is a case of child neglect. We've heard a bit about this already at CND, with all the statistics about the children that are vulnerable to people who misuse substances, and they are probably the last people that want to hurt their children, but the drugs take over. And this little girl, Ollie, she often had to go next door, knock on the next door neighbour's door and say, could I please have a sandwich? I'm really hungry. And so the neighbour eventually contacted Odyssey House, and her mum was helped again through the supported accommodation. And, you know, it wasn't great and it took a long time, but at least Ollie was safe and she could be taken to school and things like that from the facility. So it's all about picking up the mess of drug addiction and the peer group vulnerabilities that we've just heard from, you know, in two young ladies' talks. My colleagues at Drug Free Australia could see the importance of engaging young people for advice and updates on the level of illicit drug use, especially vaping, when they heard about this opportunity. The fact that peer pressure is a strong persuader, and we heard that very clearly from Yoni. So youth prevention influencers would be an opportunity to utilise positive peer pressure and speak in the same language as the kids that are under pressure. And the role modelling is far more effective in the way when young people realise that that they don't have to use drugs, that there are other opportunities. So it helps them to understand that drugs not only destroy lives, but they destroy and can destroy dreams and ambitions. So we embarked on a campaign in Australia for the youth prevention influencers. And this was a pretty tough act to do, because in Australia we have a policy of harm minimisation, which is like harm reduction, and not a great deal of emphasis is placed on prevention. We're getting better at it, but it's a hard road. So when we put out our feelers to schools, public and private schools, to Rotary clubs and that sort of thing, it was very hard to get the message across that we wanted young people to stop the drug use before it started, in other words, prevention. However, we did present to Rotary clubs about the information, and 2 Rotary clubs have actually supported Eva, sponsored Eva to come to this CND. So that's a good news story. We promoted the idea in Drug Free Australia's monthly e-bulletin, and we wanted, we hoped the uptake would come through different ways there. We also reached out to school groups, public and private, via email, and our board's personal connections with Seventh-day Adventist schools and Salvation Army schools. So we, spread the net very, very widely. Gaining support for the Rotary sponsorship to allow young people to apply for a scholarship and travel to the CND was the main thrust. We just wanted them to see that there'd be something further than just staying in Australia and working in local groups. We wanted them to treat it as an educational activity and to be able to come here and experience this amazing meeting that we have in March. And I think you'll all agree it's a real melting pot of civilised and different countries and our rules and all our priorities. It's just a wonderful learning experience. So we shortlisted 2 applicants, and Eva was the one that put forward an application that was able to be supported by Rotary and had some very good examples for how or why we should become drug-free and how we could do it. So she's got potential to be quite an advisor for governments. So where to from here? We plan to build our campaign to develop a strong group of youth prevention influencers based on the success that Eva has contributed at the CND. We'll certainly be supporting the new initiative that Yoni has just told us about through Rotaract. We also welcome partner organisations to join us in this venture. Please be in touch. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Joe, for these testimonies and the connection to prevention and to give clear examples of what we want to prevent and how we will do it. Yes. I would like to get you in touch with our trainer for a few moments. He will speak to you a few words from a video, if I am able to open it. Voila. Here he is.
Hello everybody. As you can see, I am sitting in a park, a little spot of nature in Belgium near my home. And I want to talk to you about the Youth Prevention Influencers Program. My name is Clemens Sterft. I'm a professional trainer, addiction prevention worker. And I'm really thrilled about the program because I strongly believe in it. Not because there's a bigger problem with young people than adults about addiction, but because of the power of young people, because of the peer-to-peer they can be to help each other, but also because of the program itself. Because I think when I see those young people learning and participating and being engaged in addiction prevention, that really gives me a warm feeling. My role is rather small, but still what I can do as a professional trainer, I train those young people to become influencers. And the training exists of, as you can see, there was no time for me to make a script. And my English dictionary is at home, so I'm not able to look up for the right words. But anyway, I hope you can understand me. And now I forgot where I was. But anyway, I'm thrilled about the program, and I want to explain you what we do. And we start mostly with, we call it vision building. What is addiction? What is prevention? What works? What doesn't work? What's my own opinion about it? What's my background? How influences my background what I think? And then I try to stuff the young people's own opinion with knowledge about prevention, definitions, knowledge about addiction, knowledge about evidence-based work, knowledge about evidence-informed working, And the last part is all about inspiring, and I hope with an example of what I do in my profession and how it is grounded in theory and practice can make them believe they can make really a difference and make them believe that they are trained enough and good enough to do it. And afterwards, it's up to them. And they can ask me then how, with their own ideas and their own prevention methods, to become a better prevention worker. And then I can add as a coach some things like motivational speaking or deep democracy or product information or whatever they want. What I like about the program too is that it's not about creating stronger, better and smarter people, because in my opinion, that's not the way we can make a difference. But I think young people can make a really great difference when they talk to each other about it and when they try to be an example of how you can have substances in your life without a problem, or at the same time how nice it can be without substances. So the part I believe in is that they can make the world full of places where substance use becomes irrelevant. And the more places there are, the more places there are where people don't have to be strong or smart or can say no to everything. If this program in Belgium can inspire you, or has inspired you already, I'm very happy. If you want to talk about it, I'm sure you can find a way to track me down. I've written the whole program down in a sort of course on paper. Perhaps you can read about it. And I hope you, together with me and all those young people in Belgium and with Rotary, we can make a difference then. Good luck. Thank you for doing this. And perhaps we'll see each other one time. Goodbye.
I don't know if Clemens is among the digital followers, but maybe he is. And we would like to go now to Ruth Mercy, who is following digital. Ruth, are you there? And can you bring us some information from Sweden?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Do you hear me?
Yes, but we don't see you yet. Ah, yes, now we see you.
No, yeah, I'm in the office. Sorry for being shaky. My name is Ruth Musier, and I represent Mentor Sweden. We have an office in Gothenburg, where I work from, and also in Stockholm. Mentor Sweden, we are a non-profit organization founded in 1996 by the Swedish Queen, Sylvia, and World Health Organization. And our mission is mostly to strengthen young people's self-confidence and well-being, future opportunities by connecting them with safe adult role models. So we work with teenagers from 13 to 19 years old through different mentoring programs. We do one-on-one mentorships or in smaller groups for longer term, or we also have workshops and inspirational sessions at school during school hours. So it's both school hours and after schools activities that we have. And through these initiatives, we aim to prevent exclusion and also help young people believe in their own potential. So, and why Mentor was founded, it was from a growing concern about young people's vulnerability. Just as you said, it was both from like substance abuse, but also mental health, and what you're also talking about today, the lack of not having enough role models around them. In their lives. So the idea is very simple. We create structured ways for responsible adults to step in as positive role models. And this idea has continue to be the core and the driving force behind of everything that we do today. Within this project, we are happy to be able to contribute with workshop and specifically in the area of training trainees. And we look forward to supporting young people in strengthening their own self-leadership and want them to grow into leaders, but also to become those role models for other peers and positive role models in generally, not just here. So we are excited to be a part of this collaboration, and we are also looking forward to learn more from you guys as well. So thank you. That's me. Oh, and us. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Ruth. We look forward for the cooperation within or without the EU program. We go on anyway, so we will meet certainly in September to make the concrete plans. Okay, thank you for being there and sharing with us.
Thank you very much, and we're looking forward to that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we give the word to Amy Ronshausen, known by everyone, of course, but thank you for joining us, Amy, and being interested in this project.
Thank you, and I'm happy to sub in for our Secretary General, Ravina Matson, who had to leave today, who I know knows a lot about this. And she has prepared my remarks for me, so I am going to read them to you. So thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure to join you to reflect on all of these important questions in our field and how we can accelerate effective prevention efforts globally. If there's one lesson I think that we have all learned and that experience has taught us, that it's not one single actor that can address all the complex challenges of substance use alone. Prevention succeeds when governments, civil society, researchers, practitioners, families, and young people themselves come and work together. Substance use is not only about reducing drug use. When done well, it strengthens societies, it improves mental health, it strengthens life skills, and keeps young people in schools, supports families, and helps prevent violence and social exclusion. Prevention is not only a health intervention, it's also an investment in human development, resilience, and opportunity. But to achieve these outcomes, prevention must be evidence-based, gender-sensitive, and adapted to local realities. What works in one community, one part of the world, one part of a neighborhood, might need adjustments in other parts. That's why strong monitoring, evaluation, and data-driven approaches are so essential. We have to continuously learn, measure those results, and adapt our methods to ensure that prevention strategies truly respond to the needs of the communities that we're serving. This is where multi-stakeholder collaboration becomes essential. Partnerships allow us to combine strengths and accomplish more with the very limited resources that we all have. Research provides evidence, governments create policies, civil societies reach communities, practitioners translate that knowledge into action, and young people themselves bring the lived experience, creativity, and insight in every step of the process, not just one step of that process. We have already seen the power of such collaborations. Initiatives such as the Oviedo Declaration and the Global Youth Declaration on Prevention, Treatment, Recovery show what can happen when diverse voices come together around a shared commitment to prevention. These declarations remind us that prevention must include perspectives of those most affected, particularly children and young people, and must integrate gender perspectives and inclusive approaches. At this very event, C&D is another example of what is possible when multilateral institutions, governments, and civil societies unite around a common goal. By working together across sectors and regions, we can strengthen prevention systems, share promising practices, and scale up approaches that are proven to work. There is also great value in learning from one another. Communities across the world are developing innovative solutions. Some are building strong school-based programs. Others are strengthening family support systems, community resilience, or youth leadership initiatives, such as the one we just heard about. By sharing this knowledge and experiences, we can accelerate that progress far more effectively than if we worked in isolation. At the heart of all this must remain a simple principle. The voices of those affected have to be heard. Young people, families, and communities should not only benefit from prevention efforts, they should help shape them. Prevention strategies rooted in lived experience are more relevant to communities, more effective in practice, and more sustainable over time. So as we move forward, let us continue to build strong partnerships grounded in evidence, guided by shared responsibilities. Let us strengthen our commitment to data-driven prevention, to gender-sensitive approaches, and to inclusive collaboration across sectors. Because when we work together to implement these programs, we create environments where children and youth can thrive. And I would also like to throw out there, while that it is an extreme honor to be part of this panel where we're talking about youth and that I'm 53 years old, I would be just as honored to forfeit my spot and really encourage you in the future, because I was so moved by the two presentations that we heard from first that I would much rather listen to that, and I'm sure many people in the room would too, and learn more from them and hear from them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy. For Rotary Action Group, it's very important to have the partnerships with the professional prevention NGOs, and because Rotarians are intermediaries, we are not the professionals, but we can bring the professionals together and we can join them together with the young people. And so all methods are welcome to feed and to gather the experience and to build together. So the cooperation with WFAD is for us very important, but also with a lot of other cooperations we have globally. Thank you. I give the word to Wally, who is the most important cooperation agreement. You remember the basis of our agreement some years ago was that it's not only important to have prevention programs for children and people, but it was important to involve families at that time. And that was also one of the things we aimed at, but you cannot do everything. As you said, Amy, we need to cooperate together and be focused really now on the youth prevention influences, but it's broader than that. It's peer-to-peer, it's camps, it's and so on. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Johan, for the invite. And actually, as I speak right now, many of the things that I need to cover have been covered, and I have in the presence of a previous director, Jean-Luc, who kind of also joined this partnership, and thank you. So what I wanted to say is just to add to the story that many of the things have been mentioned, particularly by Eva and Yoni, right? In terms of how the work that we move forward. And I just want to mention some of the highlights of the things we're doing with you that could benefit, and these processes of influencers that are on the ground doing this magnificent efforts to kind of push the prevention agenda to other youth around them. So with that being said, I would just mention what is the state of youth engagement that we do in general to brief you as UNODC in terms of availing that science to the youth. So yes, we have a youth initiative that has been ongoing for like over 10 years now, close to 15, where youth can share their experiences together and actually take the science that we generate to the standards in their practices to learn how to implement on the ground. So this youth initiative is translated in different formats. One of them is the Youth Forum, where as we speak right now, there was supposed to be 31 youth from 24 different countries, but much like Husni, some of them were affected by the travel restrictions. There is 25, which is not bad in the scope of things already. And as we speak right now, they've been meeting for 3 days to get all the prevention standards training that they get, that we have, to reshape the way they're thinking. And even though they're selected from specific countries, they don't represent their countries. They're sitting there, selected based on their work to speak on behalf of youth. Right? So they, as we speak right now, they should be delivering, I hope, the statement to the plenary after 3 days of work on behalf of the youth, so that these decision-making processes that are happening here hear the voice of the youth, because these are decisions that are reflecting on the youth. So the Youth Forum is one of them, where on a yearly basis we meet with different group of youth to pass this knowledge when they're working, at least from a policy perspective, to know what the science of prevention is, so that they will become more fruitful in terms of engaging in prevention. We also have a grant mechanism called the APC grant mechanism. We'll give them some seed funds for youth-based organizations to actually do the work on the ground. But the new development that we have is that aside policy making, they need that science of actually doing prevention that's aligned with the science. And this is where Friends in Focus is a new tool that we have developed. Innovatively, it's not only we have translated science by experts doing this peer-to-peer program in terms of building resilience, but alumni from the youth initiative itself, from the youth forum, came in and were part of the design of the program itself. So it's a program that is co-designed by youth as well. So yes, I mean, you see that we had also geographical representation so that we have a lot of experiences in terms of peer review on the content from different perspectives. I will not bore you with all of these details, but it's not science without having the culture of, you know, where the youth are being reflected. So yes, I mean, so meaningful engagement of youth means two things. You have to understand, shape the policies, and be part of this policy being done, and actually being a driver of the policy. This is exactly what Eva and Yoni have mentioned. I mean, you need to be armed, not only by the will, but by the tools to move things forward. And this is one of the tools that we're trying to operationalize. I mean, if you move to the next slide, please, I will just reflect on the processes. So basically, the trainers are training a group of youth that they're a bit on the older age spectrum of youth. I'm talking 18 to 24. And these 18 to 24 years old, just like within early university years, will pass on the training to 14 to 17. That the trainers of peer, the red circle, that will pass on these messages of resilience to their school peers within the classroom. So it's kind of a cascading processes of interactive sessions where they go into discussion of specific resilience skills, challenging normative beliefs, building how to say no, everything that has been mentioned through the translation of the science. But basically, rather than having a teacher-led or a kind of a social worker-led, the youth themselves become the leaders of like this discussion, moving things forward. And yeah, I mean, this is a process where we have moved from the development, and we are in the process of, from the design, we are in the prototyping, where experts have written the document, but we have to see in practice in different cultures and different youth, can they implement it? So if we move to the, I'm getting dizzy from them 2 slides. Yeah? So yes, you will get to learn about it's available in many languages. These are the places where we're piloting it, you know, in Central Asia, in Serbia, in Italy, in Spain, in Central America, and it was designed in English. So it's available in multiple languages. Next. And also, without going into the details of this. So we are prototyping in different geographical locations. In Central Asia, as you saw, in Philippines, in Serbia, in Montenegro, in Italy, in Central America, that would be Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua. So, but what I meant is you see different dates and the plans change. For example, in Serbia, we wanted to do the pilot there, and unfortunately we faced the circumstances of school-based violence that you probably have heard on within Serbia. So we had to change the processes. Schools has closed. There were also protests that moved to Montenegro. But regardless, now you see how the process, in the sense of getting cultural perspective in terms of redesigning the program, and our plan by the end of this year, the version 2.0 will be ready for youth. And any youth influencer that would like to get this training, hopefully will get the chance to benefit from these processes. So that will be chapter 1 of the work. But this is a structured training, of course, a program that, you know, will require a person to be trained for the cascade moving forward. This is where you get more information about Friends in Focus. Okay. But I have another sort of thing that in terms of youth empowerment and development that will be useful, particularly for youth influencers, if we move to the next one, is that more and more youth are present in social media, in virtual networks. And influencers are present there, positive and negative influencers, if I may say. But this is a virtual network where the normal sort of non-virtual what do you call, barriers and rules and regulations are not translatable in the same way. So we're trying to kind of move that science in terms of prevention through the social network where a lot of youth are present. And this is where, as we speak right now, we're developing another tool guiding any person, regardless if it's a policymaker or a youth or a school director or school principal that want to do prevention through social media. How to translate the prevention standards through a guiding tool that help the person consider how to design the campaign, how to evaluate, implement, and to kind of translate it into different social media platforms. So the first meeting we had was in August 2024, where the key insight in terms of the positive and negative, the advantage and disadvantage of social media implementation has been translated and is available online. You can read it, the proceedings of the key insights. But only in January 2026, we had the first expert group meeting to start the drafting processes of that guiding document. We expect between April and May that tool to be available. And this will be a tool that hopefully will guide anybody is interested to do prevention work through social media to kind of, or use as much as possible the science that exists, because we do not have evidence-based prevention through social media, to do something as solid as possible by what the science of prevention is, and hopefully also youth influencers, youth, the YPI would benefit from these tools. So that's it from my side in terms of putting in terms of the latest development when it comes to, because meaningful implication of youth requires that all the science that we have be available to them. There's a lot, the will is very important, but the will need to be guided by principles of what works. So the principle of what works are there, and we really hope at one point in time we find the chance to kind of join hands and to see how we can pass this knowledge to the amazing infrastructure that you have that can benefit and move this from just being on the shelf to being benefiting more and more youth of the town. Great, thank you.
Dear Wadi, thank you for everything, and we hope we have a meeting later that we can interconnect our networks. The youth forum, as I understood, grow out from country representatives, and now we should find a way to interconnect with our youth prevention influencers so that they can join the trainings that are available. And of course, also can use the tools for the social media, because that's one of the possibilities for our youth prevention influencers. They choose their own medium, their own method, and so on. So,
no, just to mention the fact, the youth forum is kind of a CND mandated sort of a thing where the youth are coming in. The tools that are available to the youth can be available to any other youth, right? So, I mean, these are the same. So these processes can be, it doesn't have to be within the youth forum, but the tools are there. And of course, we can package anything for any youth benefit from this training. And the discussion guides are aligned in benefit from this.
Thank you. Now we would give priority for some questions from our digital friends. Hashni, do you have questions? If not, we continue over here.
We actually have one comment and a question. May I go ahead with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
please.
So basically, Teresa has shared an interesting link published by the University of New South Wales and shared this comment saying the proportion spent on prevention, such as in school education programs, slightly decreased since the last report in 2009-10. Down from 9.5% to 6.7% in 2021-2022. And this is in Australia. And spending on harm reduction also decreased from 2.2% to just 1.6%. So it was a report around the investment around prevention. At the same time, she has also asked another question just after Wadi's presentation. How will you evaluate if a social media campaign worked or not? The question is, how will you evaluate if a social media campaign worked or not?
Okay. Well, that's the challenge, because proper to the method, every youth prevention influencer will find its own project, its own target group, its own field, its own substance or addictive behavior. So the diversity will be very big, and the challenge to follow that up in a scientific way and then to measure the social impact of it will be a big challenge. But from the beginning, in the development of the method, we have cooperated with an academic institute in Ghent specialized in prevention research. Some of you know him is Johan Jongbloed, you know him very well. And now we are switching from academic institute, but we have the agreement that we will follow up from the first steps and will help to model it, the method, the working, so that it becomes also measurable. But of course, we need also respect the reality, and not everything that is important in reality is measurable. So this is a big challenge, and they agreed to do that for the whole project. But everywhere where we start also with local initiative, for instance in Australia or somewhere else, we will look to make contact with a local academic institute that cooperates with the Central Academic Institute to do the necessary. And it's of course also Rotary who will provide the funds for that. Is that an answer to your question?
The evaluation component of the social media is going to be, there will be a chapter dedicated to that training because that's an essential thing. There are several areas of evaluation, from reach to reaction in terms of spread, but most essentially is the differentiation between process evaluation, outcome evaluation, and impact evaluation. And this is where we will encourage within the guiding document to have a theory of change that is placed in terms of specifically what component to have the person designing the campaign to kind of specify what specific element of the change and accordingly how to measure that change. So all of this in terms of how the evaluation is being done is going to be detailed within the guiding document because that's a core component that's moving forward.
Great, thank you. We have time for one question from the room here. May I ask in the meantime for the digital friends to put their cameras on so that we can make a picture later on of the whole thing here. You had a question?
Okay, I'm Rogers Kasiri, coming from Uganda.
Yeah.
I'm particularly impressed by what Shawadi has shared about the youth-related activities at UNODC, and with a special focus on Friends in Focus. I can see that the rollout is too slow. Have you considered an online training for capacity building for key actors in a country so that we can roll it out? Otherwise, when will you bring us here? And I mean, I'm trying to say that one of spreading that and roll out and reaching more people so that people can use it. You can see the interest in youth work. I mean, if you could do an online training where we get serious people who can translate it, maybe that will help to spread the message very fast.
Admittedly, just, the rollout of this program has been slower than any other program just because the responsibility that is thrown on the shoulder of youth to pass this knowledge from youth to youth, especially as UN organization, requires for us to have all the safeguards that are necessary because it's a universal program. And youth will gonna come and interact with another youth that are only trained on this program. There will be many more questions beyond this. How to link it to other sort of referral. So for us, we really wanted to make sure not to throw too much on the shoulders of the youth before we practically test it in other places. We really hope by Q4 of this year, the program will be solid enough. And its revised version will determine whether or not we can have it in an online format, or it's better to have somebody face-to-face training in order to study. So all of these answers, I really hope patients that Q4 of 2026 will address it because it's not easy to rely to pass the message of resilience from youth to youth. Teacher-led social behavior have a different level of experience.
Thank you. It's a pity we have to close the meeting because there is another meeting following. Last question.
Not a question, just a comment, just saying to Eva and to Yoni, just two impressive presentations today in representing youth prevention influences. Just a remarkable job, and you should be very, very, very proud of what you've done today.
May we take a picture quickly because this is a day to remember for the Rotaract group because it was formally launched over here. So let's go around.
Oh.
Okay. I think we don't have time to. Yeah. Please. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember.
I don't know where we met.
Yeah, here.
Yes.
Another site.
Have the meeting finished? Your mic is muted.
All right. And the meeting is not finished, but again, I think we have got disconnected from the room, it seems. I was unable.
Hi, everyone. All right, then I'll say thank you to you all, and I hope we'll meet again soon. Okay.
Hopefully, yeah. Thank you so much. And very nice presentation. I've heard about the mentor suite, but again, first time I heard from you. So looking forward to maybe follow up with John and then connect with you as well.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
just connect with us. We're always open for these type of collaborations. We always want to do
I'll be, I
change
think,
for youth.
closely working with the YPI program. So probably we will, our path will cross very soon. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Then yeah, just or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just
Sure.
connect.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. You guys have
See
a
you,
good
everyone.
day.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Scott.
bye. Thank you.
Gurkha.
Bye.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.